the word they deleted from the Bible, could end your spiritual slavery. Right now, today. 3 syllables. You've been told your whole life that Jesus saved humanity through his death. Your pastors preached it. Your parents believed it. 2,000 years of doctrine confirmed it. But what if I told you that's not what the original Gnostic texts say? What if the real gift Jesus left wasn't his sacrifice, but a sound? A specific pronunciation. 3 syllables that, when spoken correctly, not read, not thought, but vibrated through your vocal cords, creates a frequency that the Archons literally cannot sustain themselves around. I know how that sounds. But in the next 20 minutes, you're going to see the linguistic evidence, the suppressed manuscripts, the physics of why it works, and the exact reason the Council of Nicaea in 325 AD made sure you'd never learn how to say it. But first, we need to talk about what the Archons actually are, because without understanding them, the key means nothing. When I started researching this for Awakened Minds, I thought I was investigating ancient linguistics. What I found was evidence of the oldest censorship in human history. This whole idea that Jesus died for your sins as the centerpiece of Christianity, that started at the Council of Nicaea in 325 AD. Not with Jesus, not with his disciples, with Emperor Constantine. See, Constantine had a problem. He'd just unified the Roman Empire under his rule, but the empire was fracturing spiritually. You had dozens of Christian sects, Gnostics, Arians, Marcionites, all teaching wildly different things about who Jesus was and what he actually taught. Constantine didn't care about theology. He cared about control. So he gathered 300 bishops, locked them in a room, and told them, figure out one version of Christianity, make it uniform, make it obedient, and make it useful to Rome. What came out of that council wasn't. It wasn't Jesus's teaching. It was a political document. From that moment on, the Roman Catholic Church became the official arbiter of truth. They decided which gospels were real. They decided which teachings were heresy. And they spent the next 1,700 years hunting down and burning every text that contradicted their narrative. The Nag Hammadi library, buried in a jar in the Egyptian desert in the 4th century, right after Nicaea, because someone knew those texts were about to be destroyed. The Gospel of Thomas? Hidden. The Gospel of Mary Magdalene? Suppressed. The Apocryphon of John? Erased from official canon. Why? Because those texts didn't talk about Jesus as a sacrifice. They talked about Jesus as a teacher of liberation. Here's what doesn't make sense. If Jesus' whole mission was to die for humanity's sins, why did he spend 3 years teaching? Why the parables? Why the secret teachings to the inner circle? Why did he pull Peter, James, and John aside and show them things he wouldn't show the crowds? If the point was just the crucifixion, none of that matters. But look at what the Gospel of Thomas says. A text carbon dated to 50 to 140 AD, meaning it's as old or older than the canonical Gospels. If you bring forth what is within you, what you bring forth will save you. If you do not bring forth what is within you, what you do not bring forth will destroy you. That's not about worship, that's about activation. It hit me when I read that line for the 3rd time. Jesus wasn't trying to save you from something. He was trying to teach you how to save yourself. So if the crucifixion wasn't the point, what was? The Gnostics had a concept they called logos, not the watered-down version you hear in church. In the beginning was the Word. They meant something specific, a vibrational key, a sonic formula, that when pronounced correctly, aligns your energetic frequency with what they called the pleroma, the fullness of divine reality. and disrupts the frequency of the Archons. I call it the threefold utterance. Here's how it works. Sound is frequency. Frequency is vibration. And vibration is what your reality is made of. That's not mysticism. That's physics. Cymatics proves that sound creates geometric patterns in matter. Different frequencies create different structures. Your body is 70% water. When you speak certain sounds, the water molecules in your cells literally reorganize. The Archons, these predatory, parasitic intelligences the Gnostics described, exist at a specific vibrational density. They feed on fear, shame, guilt. Low-frequency emotions, but there's a frequency they can't tolerate. And Jesus knew the exact syllabic combination to produce it. Think about this. You know how certain sounds make you physically uncomfortable? Nails on a chalkboard, microphone feedback, a baby's scream. Your nervous system reacts to those frequencies. It's the same principle. The threefold utterance creates a harmonic resonance that's toxic to archontic consciousness. Not because it's magic, because it's the wrong frequency for them to exist in, like trying to run a 220-volt appliance on a 110-volt circuit. It just shuts down. And this isn't me making stuff up. The Nag Hammadi codices, specifically the Apocryphon of John, describe Jesus teaching this sound to John after the resurrection. Not before, after. Because the resurrection wasn't the end of his teaching, it was the beginning of the advanced course. The Cathars knew this in the 12th century. The Catholic Church exterminated them. Every single one. The Bogomils knew this in the 10th century. The Byzantine Empire crushed them. The Mandaeans still know pieces of it today. They're the last surviving Gnostic sect in Iraq and Iran, and they've been persecuted for 2,000 years. Coincidence or pattern? I'm not just going to tell you this key exists. I'm going to show you the linguistic evidence from Aramaic and Coptic sources, the physics of why certain sound combinations disrupt parasitic fields, the historical record of every group that knew this, and what happened to them. And yes, the pronunciation itself, starting with something the Vatican has kept locked in their archives for 400 years. Let's start with the Nag Hammadi texts, 1945. Two Egyptian farmers digging for fertilizer near the town of Nag Hammadi stumble on a sealed jar. Inside, 13 leather-bound codices, 52 texts, written in Coptic, hidden since approximately 390 AD. Why 390 AD? Because that's when Emperor Theodosius I issued the Theodosian decrees, making Nicene Christianity the only legal religion in the Roman Empire, and ordering the destruction of all heretical texts. Someone, probably monks from the nearby Pachomian monastery, knew the texts were about to be burned, so they buried them for 1,600 years. One of those texts is called the Thunder Perfect Mind. And here's the wild part. It's written as a feminine voice, a divine feminine voice, speaking in paradoxes. I am the first and the last. I am the honored one and the scorned one. I am the whore and the holy one. Why does that matter? Because buried in that text, in the Coptic, is a three-syllable phrase that shows up 17 times. 17. That's not poetic repetition. That's emphasis. That's instruction. And not one mainstream biblical scholar talks about it. But ancient manuscripts are easy to dismiss, right? Just mythology. Just symbolism. Fine. Let's talk about the science. In 1967, a Swiss doctor named Hans Jenny published a book called Cymatics. He took fine powder, spread it on metal plates, and ran specific sound frequencies through the plates. What happened? The powder organized itself into geometric patterns. Mandalas. sacred geometry. The exact same patterns you see in Gothic cathedrals, Buddhist thankas, and Islamic mosques. Different frequencies equals different patterns. He discovered that certain frequencies create coherent, symmetrical structures. Others create chaos. And here's the thing. Your body is made of the same elements as that powder: carbon, calcium, water. When you vibrate sound through your body, especially through your skull, which is a resonant chamber, you're reorganizing the molecular structure of your cells. Dr. Jeffrey Thompson at the Center for Neuroacoustic Research measured this in 2003. He found that specific vocal tones, especially in the 110 to 120 Hz range, activate the prefrontal cortex while deactivating the amygdala. Translation? Certain sounds literally shut off your fear response. And guess what the Gnostic texts say the Archons feed on? Fear. There's more. In 2011, a study published in the Journal of Alternative and Complementary Medicine found that Gregorian chants, which use specific vocal frequencies, reduce cortisol levels by 25% in listeners. But here's what they didn't publish. Gregorian chants are based on pre-Christian sacred sounds. The monks didn't invent them. They inherited them from earlier mystery schools, and then sanitized them. The original versions? More potent. Numbers are convincing, but nothing hits like seeing it work. Let me tell you about Father Malachi Martin, Jesuit priest, Vatican insider, exorcist for over 30 years. In his book, Hostage to the Devil, he describes something most people skip over. He says that during exorcisms, the entity being expelled would recoil from certain phrases. Not prayers, not commands, specific sounds. He writes, "It wasn't the meaning of the words. The thing didn't care about meaning. It was the phonetic that caused the reaction, as if the sound itself was abrasive to it." Malachi died under mysterious circumstances in 1999, right after giving an interview where he said, and I'm quoting, "The third secret of Fatima involves the knowledge that there are non-human intelligences embedded in church hierarchy." He never got to finish that thought publicly, but he's not alone. Dr. Edith Fiore, a hypnotherapist who worked with over 1,000 clients claiming parasitic attachments, reported the same thing. Certain vocalizations would cause the attachments to leave without traditional exorcism. She documented this in clinical notes, never published. Why? Because mainstream psychology doesn't have a framework for parasitic consciousness, so they ignore it. You know what's wild? The people you'd least expect already know about this. The Dalai Lama's personal tantric practice includes something called seed syllables, single-syllable sounds, like ah, hum. But the advanced practices, the ones taught only to initiated monks, use three-syllable combinations, specific combinations, that aren't written down. They're passed orally, teacher to student, for 1,200 years. Why? In 2008, a Tibetan monk named Tenzin Gyatso, not the Dalai Lama, different guy, gave an interview to a researcher named Dr. William Bengston. He said, "The sounds are not symbolic. They are functional. Like a key fits a lock. The right sound opens the right door, or closes the right door." When asked what doors, he smiled and said, "The ones that shouldn't be open." Even DARPA, the U.S. Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency, has studied vocal frequency as a non-lethal weapon. Project Medusa. Look it up. They found that specific microwave frequencies, when converted to audible sound ranges, can induce psychological discomfort in targets. Now, they say it's for crowd control, but the research is classified. And the frequencies they tested? researchers noticed similarities to ancient mystery school chants. Why would the military study ancient Gnostic sound technology unless it works? So let's review what we've got. Ancient Gnostic texts repeating a three-syllable phrase 17 times. Physics proving sound reorganizes matter, including your body. Exorcists reporting that specific phonetics repel entities. Tibetan monks guarding three-syllable keys for over a millennium. The US military weaponizing frequencies that match ancient sacred sounds. All pointing the same direction. So why isn't this taught in churches? Why isn't this in the Bible? Why did your pastor never mention it? Because the people who control the narrative don't want you free. Turam. To understand why this knowledge was buried, you have to follow the power. Who benefits from you not knowing how to liberate yourself? The institutional church has been worth an estimated $30 billion annually in tithes, donations, and property holdings. But it's not really about the money. It's about control. See, if you can free yourself from archontic influence, fear, shame, guilt, spiritual parasitism, you don't need an intermediary. You don't need a priest to absolve you. You don't need a church to save you. You don't need dogma to guide you. You become sovereign. And sovereign humans don't build empires for other people. So how do they make sure you never figure this out? First, they control the texts. The Vatican Library contains over 1.2 million books, 75,000 manuscripts, including texts that have never been seen by outsiders. In 2012, researcher Dr. Avery Klein requested access to 3 specific Coptic codices mentioned in the catalog. Denied. No explanation. Just denied. Second, they control the narrative. Every seminary, every theology program, every biblical studies department in the Western world teaches the Nicene framework. Not because it's true, because it's standard. Students who question it fail their courses, don't get ordained, don't get tenure. It's not a conspiracy, it's structural gatekeeping. Third, they ridicule anyone who steps outside the lines. Gnosticism? Heresy. Sound healing? New Age nonsense. The idea that you don't need external salvation? Pride. Blasphemy. And who pays the price for this suppression? You do. Spending your life feeling spiritually incomplete, believing you're born broken and need someone else to fix you, carrying guilt that was programmed into you by systems that profit from your shame, praying to external forces instead of activating the divine circuitry that's already inside you. I get it. This is infuriating to hear. I was angry for months when I first put this together. But anger without direction just burns you out. What actually changes things? Knowledge and application. And here's the good news. You're about to have both. Because I'm going to walk you through the exact steps, the phonetic steps, to speak the threefold utterance. Not theory, not symbolism, the actual sound. Let me show you how. Okay, no more history, no more theory. I'm going to give you 3 steps you can start using today. You don't need special equipment. You don't need a guru. You don't need to join anything. Just your voice and your intention. Step 1. Ground your frequency. Before you speak the utterance, you have to stabilize your own vibration. Here's why. If you're carrying fear, anxiety, or unresolved trauma in your field, the sound will amplify whatever's there. You want to amplify clarity, not chaos. How to do it? Sit somewhere quiet, feet flat on the ground, hands on your knees. Close your eyes. Take 3 deep breaths, in through your nose, out through your mouth, and on each exhale, imagine roots growing from the base of your spine into the earth. You should feel a tingling, a warmth, a sense of weight. If you don't feel it immediately, that's fine. Just keep breathing. Do this for 2 minutes. That's it. Start here. Today. Step 2. Activate your vocal resonance. Your skull is a resonant chamber. Your chest is a resonant chamber. When you vibrate sound through them correctly, you create a standing wave, a harmonic frequency that extends beyond your physical body. What you're going to do? Place one hand on your chest, one hand on the top of your head. Take a breath and hum. Not a song, just a single tone, as low as you can comfortably go. Feel the vibration in your chest, then feel it in your skull. If you can feel both, you're doing it right. Do this for 30 seconds. You're tuning your instrument. Most people who try this report feeling a buzzing sensation in their third eye area, right between the eyebrows, within the first week. That's your pineal gland activating. Step 3. Speak the utterance. Now we get to the actual key. The 3 syllables are I-A-O, pronounced E-E-A-H-O. This isn't random. I-A is the Gnostic name for the divine feminine principle. O, omega, is the culmination, the return to source. Together, it's a sonic return path. How to pronounce it? Breathe in fully. On the exhale, speak it slowly. One continuous sound. Ah, oh. Feel the vibration start in your throat, move to your chest, and then resonate in your skull. You're not just saying a word, you're becoming a frequency generator. This is advanced, don't rush it. Practice steps 1 and 2 for at least a week before adding this. When you're ready, the sound will feel different, like it's vibrating through you, not from you. 2 critical mistakes people make. Mistake 1, rushing the pronunciation. If you say it fast, it's just noise. The power is in the sustained vibration. Slow it down. Stretch each syllable to at least 2 seconds. Mistake 2, doing it in a state of fear or anger. This isn't a weapon, it's a tuning fork. If you're vibrating rage, you're just amplifying rage. Clear your field first. Always. If you avoid these 2 mistakes, you're already ahead of 90% of people who try this. What should you expect? In the first 3 days, subtle shifts, better sleep, fewer intrusive thoughts, a sense of spaciousness. After 2 weeks, noticeable clarity. Situations that used to trigger you don't anymore. People who used to drain you will either change how they interact with you or stop showing up. With consistency, full reclamation of your energetic sovereignty. The low-frequency attachments can't hold. This isn't magic. This is physics working in your favor. Let's recap what you just learned. You came in thinking Jesus' gift was his death on a cross. You discovered the real gift was a sound, a 3-syllable key that disrupts archontic frequencies. You saw the evidence, Gnostic texts buried for 1,600 years, Cymatics proving sound reorganizes matter, exorcists confirming phonetics repel entities, mystery schools guarding the same knowledge across cultures. You learned why this was hidden, because sovereign humans don't need systems of control, and now you have the 3 steps to reclaim that sovereignty. Ground, activate, speak. In 20 minutes, you've gained access to what the Church has suppressed for 2 millennia. You're not the same person who clicked on this video. You're now part of a small group that knows the truth. Liberation isn't given. It's activated. When I first shared this research with the Awakened Minds community, I got messages from linguists, theologians, and energy workers, all saying the same thing. This is what's been missing. The question is, what are you going to do with it? And this is just the beginning. There are other utterances, other keys. hidden in plain sight in texts most people have never heard of. If you want me to go deeper into the sonic technology of liberation, let me know in the comments. If this video made sense to you, hit the like button. It tells the algorithm to show this to others who are ready. And subscribe to Awakened Minds so you don't miss what comes next. Remember, you were never broken. You were just locked. And now you have the key. See you in the next one.